What's up, guys? Welcome back to the show here in the Legless Lounge. Today's guest is someone whose story is raw, it's real, and is deeply inspiring. Trooper Wright is a high school football player who faced an unthinkable tragedy after a serious ATV accident, one that cost his left arm but didn't take his spirit. Since then, Trooper has walked through physical pain, mental health battles, and a journey of rediscovering his purpose, all while holding on to his faith. If you've ever struggled with identity, loss, or just felt like life has knocked the wind out of you, this episode is for you. Let's dive into a conversation about healing, hope, and how God can use the worst parts of our story to write something absolutely beautiful. Trooper, man, you're a great friend of mine, and I'm pumped up to have you onto the show today.
Yes, sir, bro.
Let's do it. First, let's start about your story. Can you take us back to the day where you got into the ATV accident and what you remember about those few first moments?
Yes, sir. So November 11th of last year was Veterans Day, and so we didn't have any school. We had an early morning practice getting ready for our first playoff game. So I think our practice was at 8 o'clock. We went in, and Monday is always a walkthrough day for us, so it's not very intense. So the guys had some energy after practice, and we went to McDonald's and hung out, got a McFlurry, and then in Eden there really ain't much to do, so we were gonna go to Walmart and hang out. But my dad told us to come on home and just hang out at the farm. So we got there and we drove the side by side around for probably like 20 to 30 minutes. There are multiple pastures on the farm that I live on, and while we were bringing it back, I saw that the main pasture was opened up, and I was actually in the passenger seat at the time. But I told my friend I would take him through there, so he turned it around and I hopped in, just floored it right off the bat. But it's weird because I had done it a million times before that, and nothing had ever went wrong. But floored it this time, and the tires just got kind of churned with the rocks. I live on a gravel road, so it just got kind of churned with the rocks, and we started drifting to the left. Brought it back to the right, and that's where the side by side kind of tilted over. I fell out of it and stuck my arm out, and that's what we initially think broke my arm. And then the side by side came down on top of it and just
Mm,
kind of crushed it and mangled it in a way that a limb shouldn't be.
yeah,
And from there, I just kind of saw like a flash of light. I guess I got knocked out. I don't really know what happened, but I
yeah,
was face down. And when I looked up, I saw that the side by side was still rolling. So I hadn't felt anything up to that point. It was just all the adrenaline pumping. But my friend finally climbed out of the side by side, and his eyes just lit up. And he saw my arm and just took off running towards my house. So I'm still dazed at that point. I'm still not feeling anything, but I tried to push myself up to see where he was going. And after about the third time of falling to my left side, I looked down at my arm and saw the condition that it was in. And my initial thought was that I was going to lose it just because, I mean, muscles were out and
mm,
it was mangled in a way that a limb shouldn't look. And so I initially thought that I was going to lose it. And by that time, I had just rolled onto my back. It was just hanging onto my shoulder. And my dad was the first person there. He was probably like 100 yards from my house at the time. He was outside doing yard work. So he came sprinting over there. And my dad was an ex first sergeant with the Highway Patrol. So he's seen some things throughout his profession, but this was the first time I'd ever seen him with like any type of fear in his eye.
yeah, yeah,
So that was obviously very nerve wracking for me. But Brock, my friend who was in the crash with me, had got back and he threw a shirt on over my arm just to kind of keep me from looking at it. And him and my dad just we had conversations about what the next step was probably going to be. And my dad told me that it was possible that I could lose my arm. But during that time, man, I can't really describe to you the peace that I had. It was definitely God given. And I mean, the best way to put into words is just the peace that surpasses all understanding.
yeah.
I've never felt anything like that before then or after. So by then, EMS had got there, and they were operating on me, and they ended up having to give me fentanyl because the pain was so excruciating. And then they finally made a group decision to life flight me to Wake Forest Baptist to undergo emergency surgery. And I
Mm,
was conscious through this whole thing. I had never lost consciousness. So I remember every single detail about what happened. But they rushed me in. And I went into surgery, and I don't really remember too much after that until probably that Wednesday.
yeah.
And that's kind of where I started to get my head back and realize that I didn't have part of my arm anymore.
Yeah. And Can you kind of elaborate one on the peace part, because I think that's one so powerful, because in such, in a chaotic time and the probably the hardest part of your life, you had such peace in that. And then also talk about a little bit about, the aftermath of whenever you did, get your head back that Wednesday and realize, a part of me's missing and my life's going to be completely different. Kind of touch on the emotional side of that.
Yes, sir. So with the peace thing, I mean, again, it's just hard to put into words exactly what I felt. But it was like I knew that chaos was going on, but I was just at peace, like with my body. Like I felt okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept proclaiming three things while I was on the ground. I just said, Jesus, I know you're with me. I know you're protecting me. I believe that you're going to save my arm.
Mm-hmm.
So that piece right there, I think, is ultimately what kept me from losing consciousness throughout everything that was happening. So I'm very thankful for that. And then once I got my head back on Wednesday and realized that, part of me was missing, the bandage was so big that I didn't really know what all was gone. So
Yeah.
initially I
I
thought,
remember those days, brother.
yeah, yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
But I thought I had just lost my hand, but I'd find out later on, like once we unwrapped it, what all I had lost. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, once I got my head back, was when I had a lot of good conversations with different people who came into the hospital to just encourage me and keep my spirits high. But I think the biggest thing for me while I was there was just not knowing what the next step for me with
Mm-hmm.
sports was,
Mm-hmm.
because I'd never seen a limb different athlete before. Like I'd never heard about it. I'd never seen any articles or anything. So I was like, bro, how am I going to be able to
Mm-hmm.
operate sports with one arm now?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where a lot of the mental and spiritual battles came in once I got home.
Yeah. Yeah. That's tough. And you've been incredibly open about your path. Your walk through some dark places mentally after the accident. Even wrestled with some suicidal thoughts. How did what helped pull you out of that pit of those thoughts and the mental battle?
Yeah, yeah. I think once I got home and riding by the spot, because I mean it's right at my house. I see it multiple times every day.
Mm-hmm.
Just it reminds me a lot of everything that happened. And for so long, I think I was just caught up in my identity as who I am as a football player.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the only thing I could think about. And I thought football was over for me. So I didn't know what my identity was supposed to be anymore. I didn't know what my value was. So from there, that's kind of where I was like, I don't know if I even want to be here anymore. Like, what's the
Mm-hmm.
point of living?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah. Yeah.
do some soul searching and really just figure out, that life is a lot bigger than sports. But the thing that helped me out so much was just the support that my community gave me. Not just Eden, my hometown, but Rockingham County in general. They just had an endless amount of support for me and my family and helped us with needs financially and just gave us an incredible amount of just encouraging words. And I ultimately think that is what helped me just kind of get my brain back.
That the power of the team around you, and whenever I got into my accident, I felt the same exact thing, and from the community here in Greenville, Laurinburg, really across Eastern North Carolina, across the world as well. That people rallying behind you, it can really be a lot help whenever you don't know what the next step's going to be. You don't know how your life's going to be now. So the power of the team is incredible. But what would you say to someone that was in your shoes right now, that is listening, who's in the same place where life feels too heavy and their hope feels far away? What would you say to that person?
Yeah, I think ultimately we just gonna have to open up a Bible.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my initial thing, is because a great verse for me during these past 7 months has been John 16:33, which Jesus is talking about. In this world you'll have trials and tribulations, but take heart, for I've overcome the world. So right there, I mean, it talks about there's going to be hard times, there's going to be challenging times, but in that you can have peace and you can have hope because Jesus already overcame it all.
That's
So
right.
just letting them know that life is going to go on, and ultimately, bro, like the only limits that you have are the ones that you place on yourself.
Yeah,
So
that's right. Heck yeah. And how has your faith helped you process what has happened in your personal life, and find the strength when you didn't really have it in yourself anymore?
yeah, I think without the faith that I had, like without a foundation being built on my faith, I think my story would have been a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been in church my whole life, and I've had a great support system around me with just godly men and godly women who have encouraged me a lot. and helped me be able to move on and get past what had happened and look forward to life again.
Yeah.
So I think just I keep talking about the support from the community, but I really think I have the best community around.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in my life has been super encouraging and has guided me, not only through my accident, but I mean, just my whole life has helped me stay on the right path and ultimately just have my values placed on God alone.
Yeah. Was there like a moment, throughout your recovery and your process where, either physically or spiritually, where you just felt like God showed up in such a powerful way?
Yeah, so it was pretty early on. When I got back home, it was just a lot of questions of, I said while I was on the ground, God, I believe that you're with me. I know you're protecting me. I believe you're going to save my arm.
Hmm.
And that ultimately didn't happen. So I felt like for a while, I had served God my whole life wholeheartedly, and I didn't understand why this had to happen to me. So the questions were just, God, why didn't you protect me? And why did this have to happen to me? The why me question.
Hmm.
So once I started going to therapy, we met with the main surgeon who did my surgery, and he told me that the only reason why I was still here was because my arteries were so crushed that there was no possible way that I could bleed out. But that's ultimately why I lost my left arm.
Hmm.
So immediately it was like I got my answer. I was like, okay, God, I got you. My story isn't over yet. So thank you for protecting me. And then the why me question really got answered when me and my dad, I mean, I can't tell you how many walks around the farm that we had just trying to clear my head. And we were walking one day, and one of my dad's friends had pulled in, and he hopped out of his truck, and he just looked at me and my dad and gave us a hug and said, "Why not you?" And then
Yeah.
immediately it was like I just stopped feeling sorry for myself, and I looked at the adversity that I was under and just learned to embrace it, and not run from it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
awesome. That's incredible, bro. Because I mean, our stories are just line up so perfectly. Like,
crazy.
the why not you, and then also like your arteries, like the blood not going to your head. The exact same thing happened with me, and that's the reason why I lost my leg. But it
Mm.
also saved my life too. So
Yes, sir.
that's crazy. But hey, guys, I want to take a quick second and thank today's sponsor of the show, Children's Health Services. Children's Health Services understands the importance of your child's well being from the day they were born in the hospital. They have great doctors over there, so you guys need to go and check them out. They have two locations now, one on Arlington Boulevard and a brand new location on 10th Street. You guys have to go check it out. I went in the other day, got a nice tour, and it was absolutely beautiful in there. It has some cool rooms, and has some cool setups for you guys. So make sure you guys go and check that out. Thank you guys, and back to the show. But you touched on it a little bit earlier, and how football was such a big part of your identity before your accident. How did the sport help your comeback? Both mentally and physically.
Yes, sir. I think, in my personal opinion, football is one of the hardest, just grueling physical sports. So I had
Mm-hmm.
already been through adversity with football. So it's like, all right, I've been through adversity before. This isn't going to be anything. It might be a little bit harder, but I know ultimately I'm going to get through it. So football has helped a lot with just discipline, and just that mindset of keep going. I mean, that's the thing with football is you're gonna go through times of pain and just a lot of trying times where you don't have answers, but you just got to keep pushing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think football and my accident kind of lined up well to where I could have that football mentality going forward with everything that had happened and getting back to the field and getting back to the weight room. I mean, that was great for my mental health just to be able to do the things that I was doing with two arms.
Yeah, yeah. Was there ever a point, where you wondered, who am I without football? I know you kind of touched on that whenever you initially got into the accident, like football this, football that, and who am I without football? And if so, like, how'd you work through that? Because it's hard. Like, that mental block there is so real. So, how'd you work through, processing that, the game is just a game? And I know that saying absolutely sucks, and I used to hate it before my
Yeah.
accident, but it really is just a game that we play. But how'd you get through that?
Yeah, I think just a lot of conversations with everybody about look, we don't love you because you're a football player. Like we
Mm-hmm.
love you because you're a trooper.
Yeah.
So then starting to speak, bro, was great for me because it gave me something else to look forward to.
Yeah.
So I knew that I could help out people with my story and not even have to talk about football or anything related to sports. I could just talk about what I experienced and the hope that Jesus had brought me through that. And just seeing the impact that has had on people and seeing that help them, honestly, it is better than football.
100%. And I've felt that same, fulfillment through speaking. And it's crazy because, God calls us to do certain things. And, my favorite scripture in the Bible is Jeremiah 29:11. And basically, it tells us that He has plans for us and not to harm us, but to give us hope in the future. And it's hard to see that when you're going through it. But now that I'm on, kind of the back end of, I guess not the back end, but after my accident, I can see, the impact that it's had. It's like I wouldn't change a thing. And I don't know if you
Right.
feel that way, but
Yes, sir, for
I
sure.
wouldn't change a single thing because of, the fulfillment that I have to share my story, to share God's goodness and, tell people what He's doing in my life now and how I get to have all these connections. I would have never met you. I would have never met Challenge Athletes Foundation, all those cool people that I've met along the way if it wasn't
Hmm.
for my accident. So I
Yes,
view it
sir.
as a blessing, and
Yeah.
you can touch on that a little bit if you want, but
Yeah. No, for
I think it's
sure.
awesome.
Yeah, that pretty much sums up how I feel about it. I mean, there's times where I'm like, all right, I had my left arm for 16 years. I still wish that it was there.
Yeah,
But ultimately, the opportunities that I've been given and connections that I've made and people that I've been able to help out, I think it makes it all worth it
oh,
because it's put God
100%.
on display in a way that I couldn't have done with both my arms.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
nah, that really sums up how I feel about it too.
yeah. But the cool part is, man, tell us your expectations for this year's football season because I know that you're not done. So just tell us what your expectations are for this coming up football season.
Yeah, I mean, I hope my story just shows resiliency. I mean, the only limitations that you have are the ones that you place on yourself. And I truly believe I can do every single thing that somebody with two arms is doing. And I
Mm-hmm.
hope people will see that and not just view me as, okay, Trooper, the one arm football player. Like, that's cool and stuff, but I hope they're just able to look at me and say, okay, he's a football player too. He's not the
Yeah,
one arm football player.
yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, ultimately just go deep in the playoffs. I want to make a deep playoff run and do well. But individually, I mean, I just want people to understand that the only limitations that you have are the ones that you place on yourself.
yeah. That's so good, dude. Let's take a little, turn and let's talk about your parents. And I know you've touched on your relationship with your dad a good bit, but this didn't just happen to you; it happened to your entire family. Their whole lives changed. How did they handle everything, and what role did they play in your healing process?
Yeah, honestly, I think it might have been harder on my parents than me
Mm-hmm.
because they had never seen anything like this and they can't fix it. That's been the big thing. It's like, okay, we've always been able to help Trevor get through whatever, but there's no fixing what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, how are we going to help him through this? And they couldn't really understand all the emotions that I was having and how I was feeling this or why I was feeling that. So I think it took a toll on them because I mean they couldn't fix it. And my dad's always been somebody who's been in control.
Yeah.
So that's been huge for him to learn. And it's cool to see him be able to grow through that. Yeah, even as a son, like a son's perspective, seeing him grow has been awesome. And then my mom too. I mean, just always having conversations with her about what I was feeling and why I was feeling that, and her trying to make it better and just showing that effort, like she wants to make it better, has been great. Now I know
Mm-hmm.
she's grown a lot from it too, and just it's been a whole perspective change for me and my family. Man, I think we're just grateful for the little things a whole lot more than what we were.
Mm-hmm. Was there something through your recovery process that one of your parents said to you that just stuck out to you, and you still think about that every single day?
Yeah, I think so. I don't have my elbow on
Yeah.
my left arm, and when we went out to get an arm made that I could use in the weight room, it was a pretty frustrating process where we couldn't figure everything out because all I wanted to do was be able to bench press again, like just be
Mm-hmm.
able to do the gym bro lifts again.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be able to bench, but it's hard because I don't have my elbow, so I don't have that rotation with it and the lockout. And it wouldn't work at first. So we thought we came out here and I wasn't going to be able to bench press again. But my mom just looked at me and told me that I'd find a way to make it happen. And ultimately, I found a way to make it happen, and we're benching again. So that's something that sticks with me all the time is just the faith and love that she had for me right there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you tell everybody your numbers in the weight room? Because every time you post something, dude, I'm just so impressed, and I'm like, dude, I brag on you more than anybody, I promise. But
I
can you
appreciate
just
it, bro.
tell people these numbers you're putting up?
Yeah, I mean, on the squat, I've hit 425. And then on the bench press, before my accident, I hit 240, and right now we're at 185. So we're getting back up there.
That's right.
I'm looking for, I mean, the process has been great. It's frustrating, and there's a lot of times that you feel like quitting, but you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the just the support that the community has given me, helping me get the arm, I want to do it for them and show them that I can be successful with that. And I want to get back up to where I can bench more than 240 by the end of my
Mm-hmm.
senior year.
Yeah, let's go.
But
What are the biggest adjustments that you personally had to make in the weight room?
yeah, I think for the longest time, I was always doing everything with one arm,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't know exactly how we were going to be able to keep the left side functional, and we wanted to make it to where I guess I could sustain size with it, like they look the same, and you couldn't tell a difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard without the elbow to be able to do like bicep and tricep work. So my arms won't ever look the same, but we've been able to do a lot of shoulder work, and it's just a lot of band stuff, honestly. Like
Mm-hmm.
time the arm with bands and doing different shoulder exercises and pec exercises. So there's not a huge difference in the pec or the shoulder with definition, especially, but yeah, it's just been a lot of adapting and learning new things and learning how to operate the left side without being able to do the normal lifts like everybody else.
Mm-hmm. You've came so far already. What's next for you, man? Whether it's school, sports, career, whatever. What's on your heart for the future?
Yeah, I think starting a foundation and helping everybody else out that has been through what we've been through. I'm really
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to that because I know that if I would have been able to see people who looked like me and had been successful with one arm or with one leg, I mean that would have inspired me even more to keep pushing. And so ultimately, I can't wait for that. Just to
Mm-hmm.
be able to encourage and help everyone else out that goes through what we go through.
Right.
I do want to go play college football still.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to that and have a good senior season, and then go to college and play and be one of the first to play college football with one arm.
Yeah. And let's talk about this foundation for a little bit, dude. And I'm so pumped up for it. And
It's
we have
it.
to we have to find a new name because there's already limitless out there. But let's just talk about it for a little bit. And I know that we know the idea, but just talk on that for a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I know me and your dad. We actually talked on the phone a few days ago,
Yeah.
and I said no limits or no
Mm-hmm.
limitations. One of those two. I like
Yeah.
those. Like still be able to include limb in it and then have the arm and the
Mm-hmm.
leg in the design. I think that'd be sweet. But yeah, I mean, I personally couldn't have seen this coming. I think it was ultimately when I came down to ECU and hung out with you and your family
Mm-hmm.
that spark just kind of happened. And I mean, I've thought about it every single day since then. I'm super excited for what the next step is going to be and just helping out others who've been through what we've been through, bro.
Yeah. And I know you feel like this, but do you feel like your story has shifted your purpose in life? You know how like God's using what happened to you to launch you into something that's way bigger than sports.
Yes, sir, for sure. Before my accident, I wanted to be like my dad, like be a state trooper and do the law enforcement stuff. So I never would have pictured like any of the speaking things that I've done or starting a foundation to help out others.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't even on the list at all. So I think I've had to find my value in different things. I know I can still do law enforcement, but I don't want to compromise for the purpose that God has given me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for this foundation, and it's pretty new. I mean, I wouldn't have ever thought of it until I met you guys,
Yeah.
but it sounds perfect, bro. I'm excited.
Yeah. Me too. When you think about your journey, from your darkest moments to where you are today, what's your biggest lesson that you've learned throughout it all?
Mm. Dude, there's been so many. Oh man. Hmm.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned about yourself?
Yeah. I'm not a very patient person, so I had to learn
Dude,
a lot
I,
of
I, I
patience.
feel the same way, and I know you've been through the process, but like, so a little story is that before I got into my accident in high school, I wanted to be a biomedical engineer, and I wanted to come to school here for engineering, and I wanted to make prosthetics, right? Like, basically, like the arms like you have with a robot, like I
Mhm.
wanted that to do that kind of stuff, and I came to a student admissions day my senior year of high school. up here, and I went to the engineering department's presentation. It was awesome, all that. Well, we went up afterwards, and we're like, "Hey, I'm coming to play baseball here. How doable is the engineering classes and baseball?" And there was two professors, both ladies, and one of them looked at me and was like, "I mean, it's doable, but it's going to be hard. Like your time management is going to have to be like really good. You're not going to have a life outside of school and baseball. Basically, everything that I didn't really want to hear." And then the other lady was like, uh, "It's basically impossible." They're like, our classes don't accommodate with your baseball schedule, and all this and that." Well, I was like, "All right, whatever. I'll just go down the business world, finance, and I'll just kind of throw it out the window." But then I get into my accident, and then so I go through the prosthetic journey, and I see these prosthetists out there and the patients that they have. And I'm just like, man, there's no way I can do that, because I'm the type of person. Even when I got my first leg, I thought I was going to get it and just go. I thought I was going to be fine the next day. I thought I was going to be outfielding ground balls, but in reality, it's not like that. It's just a whole different process. So
Yes.
I've learned the exact same thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think something that's been great for me, another verse has been Proverbs 16:9, which talks about, "For man can plan out his path, but God orchestrates his steps."
Yeah.
So just learning that, I'm not the perfect author, and
Mm-hmm.
trusting that God is that, and trusting that this is his perfect plan for me has been
Oh,
big too.
100%. 100%. If someone is listening, who is walking through loss, grief, or feels like their life has been knocked off track, what do you tell them today?
Yeah, you're going to get through it. It's going to be all right. There are better days ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I think initially with my accident, it seemed like there were never going to be better days ahead. But I promise you there will be. And if you ultimately can just be okay with your weakness and rely on God's strength, you'll be able to get through whatever.
Mm-hmm. I agree, brother. And last question: what's one Bible verse or a quote that has carried you through the season of life?
Man, honestly, probably you're saying, why not you?
Yeah.
That's helped me so much, man. I can't even describe to you how impactful that's been for me. And I heard it pretty early on. So I think once my accident happened and getting with Clint, the trainer,
Mm-hmm.
and telling me your story and then looking
Yeah.
you up and seeing the why not you, oh, it was super impactful for me. And, I say that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about Clint for a minute, though, man. That dude is awesome, and for anybody out
He's a
there that,
beast.
that doesn't know, the connection between me and Troop is basically I have a guy named Clint that I worked out with at Young's Physical Therapy whenever I first got out the hospital, and he was awesome. Like he accommodated great. He did all the workouts before I got there just to make sure that it was feasible with one leg, and it was awesome. And he was amazing. Well, he actually left, I think it was in January of 2023, to go back to his hometown, which is actually where Troop's from. So now he's working with Trooper and he's doing all cool things with him. But talk about how much Clint has meant to you and what the process has been like with him.
Yes, sir. It's been great because he never lost belief in me.
Mm-hmm.
And he treated me the same as the trooper with two arms. So it's he didn't let up at all. So I think that was great, just not being treated any different.
Mm-hmm.
He tried all of my lists with one arm too. So I think just seeing him do that, and not just throwing me out to do something is great. But yeah, just the faith and encouragement that he's given me has been great because he never treated me any different. And he
Mm-hmm.
still believed that I could be successful even with one arm.
Yeah.
But me and Clint, I mean, we had videos working out when I was in elementary school, so we've been pretty tight, and it's just cool to see that relationship grow.
He's the man, dude. And hey, guys, I got some exciting news that Shimmer's online website is live and ready for you to shop. Go to shimmeronline.com to check that out for some of the best brands out there for all types of people. They have Kinder Scott, and then they also have some of my personal favorites like Yeti, Pimp Shrimp, Local Boy, and they have some pretty cool hats out there. So make sure you guys go and check that out. They have 3 locations in person: Greenville, Winterville, and Jacksonville, and have a cool new online website at shimmerboutiqueonline.com. Thank you guys for the sponsor, and back to the show. And before we leave today, man, I love to finish on some rapid questions with the guests. So You down to answer 3 rapid questions?
Yes, sir.
All right. First one is your go-to hype song before a game or a workout.
Yeah, one that's been it's pretty new, probably since probably March or something like that. I haven't listened to it in a game yet, but before every workout or before practice, I gotta have this bumping like on the way there. It's been "Hometown Glory" by Adele. I
Yeah,
don't know why,
Adele, baby,
but
let's go.
she's
Yes,
powerful, bro. Like
dude, she's awesome. I
that's
like.
what I'm
I
saying.
love her. She's amazing.
Yes, bro. So "Hometown Glory" has been the go-to.
That's right. One word to describe your mindset today.
Resiliency.
Yeah. And is it easier to be an arm amputee or a leg amputee?
Arm for sure. Arm
Nah,
for sure.
bro. No, there's no shot. I think leg. That's my answer because, I mean, obviously walking around, but there's so much you do with your arms. You eat. You've had to learn how to tie your shoes, all that. I still know how to do that. I just have to put a leg on and walk, brother.
Man, I don't know. I think they're both hard, but personally, I mean, I think the leg.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, Troop, man, I appreciate you coming on. I'm looking forward to the future, what you got in store. I know God's got incredible things planned for you, and I can only imagine what He's going to do through your life. And I'm excited about this foundation, man. We're gonna
Me too,
get it
man.
started hopefully by the end of this year, but if not, I know it's definitely soon in the future. So, but
Yes,
anyways,
sir.
man, thanks for coming on here today. I love you, brother,
Yes,
and
sir. Thank you.
God
Love you, bro.
bless. Yes,
Yes,
sir. See
sir.
you, man. What's up, guys? That was an amazing episode. Trooper Wright, he is the absolute man. He is a guy that walks with God. He listens to His commands, and he's such an incredible human being. So I was so blessed to have him on the show today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Looking forward to the next episode, which is coming soon your way. And God bless and go Pirates.